The Federal Reserve is going pivot. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in the video. So let's get right into it. Alright, so as all of us know, inflation is very, very high. Everybody knows what's going on with the inflation situation. Well, as a result of that, the Federal Reserve is aggressively raising interest rates to hopefully lower inflation. However, they are using the wrong tools. The reason that we have so much inflation right now and we have too many dollars out in circulation, they need to take some of those dollars out of circulation, which will ultimately bring down inflation, but very slowly. However, as a result of this, they rapidly raised interest rates from basically zero, which is where they were currently sitting. And just a few months ago, what they are doing right now is raising interest rate very, very aggressively. In fact, at the fastest pace that they've raised interest rates in 1994, 28 years ago. As a result of that, they are going to be taking the economy down with it. Do they care about that? Not really. It could seem that they don't really care because the whole idea behind this is to get rates back up. So that in the event of the economy falls into a recession, which it is, we need to know that because they have a little bit of extra breathing room when they need to start cutting interest rates once again and make it more appealing for people to go out and start borrowing money. That's the whole idea behind the whole interest rate game, right? As they raise interest rates, it decreases the appetite for borrowing money for most people. Therefore, the whole idea is that we, the consumer, will stop borrowing as much money and stop spending as much money. Therefore, it leads to so much inflation. But the deal that we're having right now with all this inflation is not because of demand, but rather it is because of too much money supply. The Federal Reserve is not doing this to actually lower inflation, but rather because they have to raise interest rates off quickly in order to get ahead of the game. So that when the whole economy collapses onto itself, we fall into somewhat a deep or prolonged recession. Now they have interest rates that they can once again cut in order to make it more appealing for us to go out and borrow money or spend money to bring the economy back to life. So you kind of see how the cycle is going right now. With the rates that they are currently putting in place right now, we've already gotten some indication that they are likely going into a pause in September. They do have a meeting scheduled in September, but here's what's interesting. They've been raising interest rates by 50 basic points. What does that mean? If they're going to go from raising half of a point and 3/4 of points to all of the certain portions, what does that tell you about their policies? Well, basically, what they are protecting is sometime in late Q3 or early Q4, I could anticipate the Fed is going to come out and say, everything else is collapsing off a cliff right now, we are gonna pause. Hey, just kidding, we're actually going to come in and we are actually going to start cutting interest rates now. If you are ever listened to Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, speak of any other chairperson from the Federal Reserve, they speak very carefully. Right now, they are doing something called quantitative tightening. They are raising interest rates and they are actually doing a little bit of quantitative tightening, which is taking money supply out of circulation. However, they need to ramp that up and they need to get more dollars out of circulation to really bring this inflation down. Over the last 2 years or so, early 2021, they printed about 22% of our money supply and about $6 trillion was printed just in that about the 1 year period of time. It's a massive amount of money. So anyway, they need to get some of that money out of there in order to bring this inflation down. Generally, they like to start cutting by 25 basic points at a time, which is a quarter of 1%. But depending on where we are currently sitting at that time, when they decide to start doing it, maybe they will start doing it a little bit more than that. But again, they only have so much leeway between where they are currently sitting with the interest rates and zero. It's unlikely that they are gonna go negative. So the fact of the matter is they don't have all that much room to go from where the current rates are at the time that they decided to start cutting all the way down to zero. Now, what is this going to mean for you going forward? Well, as we continue to work through the rest of 2022, as long as they are raising interest rates, that just means that it's going to cost more to borrow money, whether you have a short-term loan, personal loan, auto loan, or a new auto loan. You refinance a mortgage, you have an adjustable rate mortgage, you have a home equity line of credit, student loans, you have credit cards, all kinds of these different products that have either a fixed rate that you are locking in now or an adjustable rate. Any of these types of financial products that have any type of interest rate attached to them. If you are locking something in now or it has an adjustable rate, you are probably paying significantly more to borrow that money. Well, when the time comes in where they're going to start cutting once again, lowering interest rates, that just means that now once again it's getting a little bit cheaper to borrow money. Like back in early 2021, for example, a 30-year fixed rate mortgage was of 3%. That's crazy. I mean, seriously, that is unbelievably low, right? So even now sitting at about 6% of thereabouts, not too many people are too interested in. But the fact of the matter is, this is something that we got to watch going forward, because as they continue to cut rates, which again I could anticipate something within Q4 of 2022. Why would they do this? Because they're gonna start to see the economic impacts of this. They're gonna continue to see inflation raging on with pretty much no relief from inflation through the rest of 2022. Because again, they are using the wrong tools for the job. The crypto market going down even further than it already is. The housing market is put on pause because who wants to lock in a 30-year fixed rate mortgage or even a 15-year or adjustable rate mortgage at these high rates right now? As they continue to collapse the economy and everything else going on, then they are going to finally realize, oh sorry, we went too far. But as a result of that, what it is going to mean for the real estate market, for auto loans and mortgages, what is going to mean for the stock market and the crypto market, things like this. Well, we are probably going to see another very aggressive buying type of situation. Now, here's the thing, we need to watch how far the markets have dropped by then. Are the markets down 20%? Or are they down 55%? Where are the markets currently sitting at that time? Have they fallen off of a cliff to have gone down? Are they basing around doing absolutely nothing where the market's sitting at that time? I could anticipate we are going to be sitting in a situation where the stock market is probably down significantly. The reason I say that is because this is what they do each and every time when the stock market is falling off a cliff. They decide to bring up a bunch of money. So I could anticipate the stock market is likely not going to be just pouncing around, based just sitting around doing nothing. I highly doubt that it's likely going to be going down very aggressively, very fast. And that will be the indication to say, okay, it's about time. Let's start printing a bunch of money again like we've been doing for the last 14 years since 2028. So the system once again repeats itself. The whole idea behind the Fed is to keep the markets and everything at equilibrium. Well, as a result of that, unfortunately, they overshoot to the upside and they overshoot to the downside trying to keep everything maintained at that middle line. So anyway, this is what you want to watch for going forward.